In this challenge, I'm asking you to compare proportions across several different groups. We're going to be using baseball data and looking at the percentage or proportion of games a team won at home as a function of the entire number of games that they won. To do this, we're going to be using an external data set that I created called MLB2001.CSV. I'm loading mine into one called HW for home wins. That now shows up on the right. We have 30 observations. That's because there's 30 teams on 6 variables. Let's look at just the first 5 variables with this line on 7. And what we have is we have the team, the league they're in, their division, their home wins, and all of their wins. And then we have this one, I called it home advantage. It's simply the percentage of their wins that were at home. Okay. The first step in this analysis is to compare all of the teams at once. And I'm going to use the prop test. That's the proportion test. And what you need to specify is 2 things. Where are the successes and where are the trials, the number of trials? Successes in this case is wins. So I'm saying the data set HW and then the $ home wins, that is the variable that contains the successes. And then in the total number of trials is contained in HW $all wins. So we're looking at the proportion of all of their wins that were home wins. If I run that one, now what's interesting about this is it gives me the proportion for all 30 of my teams. And so you can see that for the first team, there was 54%, then we had 53% and so on. But look at the top. It says a 30 sample test for equality of proportions without continuity correction. Fine. It says where the data are. And our value of chi-squared is 12.9. Under normal circumstances, that might be a big enough value of chi-square, but we have 29 degrees of freedom, which is really big. Our p-value is 0.9956. That is about as close as to an absolutely nothing happening pure chance p-value as you can possibly get. I would have thought that home field advantage would make a big difference and that because some teams actually have more than others, I mean, if we just scroll through this very quickly, here's one team that 56% of the games that they won were at home. Here's another one where only 43% that they won were at home. And you'd think that would make more of a difference, but no, this is about as close to 0 as you can possibly get, which is why I propose a second test. And that is, instead of looking at all teams, how about we stack the deck and look at just the 2 teams with the highest and lowest? Because when you use just 2 teams, the prop test function is able to give you a little more information. So in 2011, the Milwaukee Brewers had the biggest home field advantage in that of the 96 games that they won, 57 of them were at home. So that's 59% of their wins were at home. The Florida Marlins, on the other hand, were at the low end. Of the 72 games they won, only 31 or 43% of them were at home. So let's look at just those 2 compared to each other, because 59% to 43% should feel like a significant difference. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable here that has the number of successes, that's the number of home wins for each team. And then I have another variable that has the number of trials, or the total number of wins for each team. And then when I do the prop test for those 2 numbers, what I find is this. The chi-squared value is just 3.76, and with 1 degree of freedom, that's 0.05. It's got a p-value of 0.05. Amazingly, a difference this big is still not statistically significant. The confidence interval goes from -32 to -0.002, and so it's very close to statistically significant, but we find that the difference between 43% of wins at home and 59% of wins at home is still not statistically significant. Makes you really wonder about the psychology of the home field advantage that people often feel. Also makes me think that I got to look over more years and see if there's an explanation for this non-finding that I have here. In any case, that is how to conduct the proportion test, and hopefully you got similar results and had some of the similar questions that I did.